Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. In our session, we'll be going over ways in which you can leverage your data to maximize the performance of your building operations, saving time, money, and reducing risk. My name is Dylan Stana, and I'm an Enterprise Customer Success Manager at Procore. Today, I'll be joined by an experienced industry pro from SDC Partners, who successfully helped many construction companies across Canada implement innovative solutions to get the most out of their data. In just a moment, we'll have the pleasure of hearing about his experience firsthand. But to kick us off, here's a little bit of background. By now, I'm sure most folks are familiar with that famous McKinsey report of 2017, where the construction industry was highlighted as one of the slowest growing sectors for labor productivity across the global economy. We've only done about 1% of annual growth over the last 20 years, compared with 2.8% across the rest of the global economy. Now, most analysts agree that trillions of dollars in value could be added to construction with the right productivity improvements. And it shouldn't surprise anyone that the why is rooted in construction's complexity. The answer to how we address that complexity, however, is a little more interesting. We do it by better utilizing our project data. And after surveying hundreds of customers, we were able to determine that across the industry, construction companies estimate they could reduce project costs by 12 to 13% with better access and utilization of project data. And this is a really good thing because the wave of digitization is producing a lot of it. Yet when we look out across the construction industry, the vast majority of project data goes completely unused. In fact, that figure is a staggering 96%. Now I'll let that sink in for just a moment. 96% of all data goes unused in the construction industry. Furthermore, much of this data is naturally unstructured, making it difficult to find, process, and even use at all. Oftentimes, it's hiding in filing cabinets, spreadsheets, or even clunky legacy applications. That being said, a big part of this underutilization comes from construction technology, not providing the right tools to properly take advantage of all this valuable data. So how does Procore play into this? How does Procore leverage project data to address all this complexity while making construction more efficient and closing that productivity gap in the process? Well, we start by connecting all stakeholders on a centralized, secure, open, and accessible platform, regardless of the device being used or location. The Procore platform acts as a single source of truth, generating and storing all of your project data. From there, we can report on specific elements and data sets and then analyze it to derive deep and actionable insights for your business. The bottom line is we are taking our existing experiences in Procore and making them significantly better by applying artificial intelligence and machine learning, while offering up our analytics solutions to support data-driven decision-making. And we do this in many areas across the platform, but today we'll be focusing on three key things. One, helping you retrieve information from unstructured data sources more easily, saving your people time. Two, automating repetitive or time-intensive tasks, making your team more productive. And finally, three, delivering predictive and prescriptive insights for better data-driven decision-making. So with the groundwork laid for our discussion, and without any further ado, let's hear from our special guest, Jason Glover.
All right, welcome, Jason. Thank you so much for joining me in this discussion today. I want to start off with a little bit about your background. You've been in construction for over a decade, and what led you to the construction industry?
Yeah, so my grandfather actually owned a successful home building company for many, many decades up in the Guelph area of Canada. I always was interested in construction, always out in his shop, kind of hanging out with him while he was working on different things. And then his drafting table, I was always really drawn to that. So initially, I actually went to school thinking that I would get into design and possibly, 3D renderings and things like that. But then found a real passion that I didn't know I had for actual construction partway through. So in my final semester there was an option to go construction management. dove in and never really looked back. So from there, I started my career in the field as an assistant site superintendent, and then eventually transitioned over into project management. Throughout the career, kind of worked my way up into operations management, and then ultimately made the decision to make the leap and become a Procore certified consultant so that I could take a lot of that experience and help people.
It sounds like you've really seen it all. Have you noticed, I guess, any major changes in the industry or the way that businesses are run since you started compared to, say, where we are today?
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, like technology related is sort of where the main changes I've noticed. I can remember running vellum sheets through ammonia-based blueprint machines, stuff that's just completely unheard of now, or printing off hundreds and thousands of pages of documents for tender packages and calling the trades to come pick it up or send a courier to get it. Assembling documentation like R5s and submittals were really just emails back and forth. And then even using what seemed like great software at the time that was kind of just a robust tracking system that printed out a great spreadsheet at the end of the day to kind of show you where things stood, but there was still no sort of live entities to it. It was a lot of calling the consultants, calling your trades, chasing people manually, which obviously takes a lot of time out of your day.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a manual process. Do you think that those challenges are still present in large projects today, or are the challenges different now?
Large projects kind of face a different and unique scenario. I think that what used to happen is that before margins started getting really, really tight within, like, let's say even the last 10 years, large projects that might have, say, a team of 50 staff mixed between field and office, now they're lucky if they even see half of that. So really, like, everybody is stretched thin. And then to compound that issue, now we've got this skilled labor shortage where there's just no workers coming up through the ranks. The younger generations just seem to be less and less intrigued and interested in construction, especially the physical side of things. So it's just, there's so many different constraints on everything. And then not to mention what happened with COVID and deliverables all kind of going by the wayside. It's just been massive what's happened to these large projects, and the impact has been astounding. And even the amount of documentation that they have to sift through, without a good project management system to help you with that, like, you're really, really at a loss.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I think COVID's definitely made it difficult for construction across the board. You kind of started getting into more of the data piece. I think that's really important. So I kind of want to transition and talk more about the data. A little bit of background on Procore. The Procore platform has generated almost 5.5 terabytes of data, which is pretty amazing to think. And it's structured, right? Including things like bidding, quality, labor, productivity, just name a few. And the data is precious, right? It's a unique asset from company to company. However, I feel like many companies in the industry today haven't really started or are just starting that sort of digital transformation journey. And there's untapped value in that data. What do you see today for the importance of project data being generated from construction operations? And do you think that most businesses you work with now have a strategy around that?
It's kind of funny that you bring that up. I've had a few conversations with different clients about their data management strategy. A lot of them seem to have the idea that as long as it's being stored, that they have a data management strategy, whether it's some sort of Dropbox or an FTP, or just even like a cloud-based file management solution. They think that they've done their job, they've got their data management strategy. And really what that's missing is the mining of the data after. If you're collecting the data, which all of these guys are very good at doing, all of these different companies, they're really good at storing their data and collecting it, but they don't know how to then report on it. And the biggest asset that they've got is the time that was spent generating the data and then the actual information that's within that data. So if you don't have an actual data management strategy to pull that data, report on it, and actually view historical trends, it helps you project future trends. You really don't have that strategy. So leveraging analytics is definitely a powerful way to gain insights across your entire business.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a great point. It's one thing to have that data, But I think really what you do with it is kind of the game changer. And then you bring up analytics, which also huge, especially in construction now. With Procore Analytics offers over 100 dashboards, plus the ability to create your own custom reports for whatever unique requirements that you may have. In your mind and for what you've seen, what do you think are some mission critical reports? And how do you think Procore Analytics gives businesses those actionable insights that they need?
So the dashboards that you guys provide right out of the gate with the analytics package is amazing. You've got everything from high-level insights, key influencers, project standards, scorecards, and then even simple things like RFIs or managing vendor insurances. But Procore's done a really good job of providing these reports as part of that analytics package. And many of my clients, before even purchasing this, they kind of thought like, our monthly report's great, we do a really good job of it, but what they weren't really understanding is the amount of time and effort that these reports take. So a lot of the actual end users, they're really happy that as long as they're doing their job, this report's kind of being built in the background off of the data that they're inputting in day to day, rather than I had one user actually kind of say to me, before our company got analytics, I would say that I would spend about 20% of my month strictly on reporting, where now they feel that they kind of do their day to day at the end of the month. They kind of have a quick look at the report that's been generated through analytics, make sure that nothing looks out of line, and then they're ready to actually launch that over to their company for a final review.
Right. Yeah, it kind of brings everything together in one nice spot. From in my experience, and I gather that you've probably seen the same, but a lot of companies today still operate in what's called like a data silo, right? So they have their data stuck in various spots, whether it's still spreadsheets or even filing cabinets or some type of legacy document solution. Do you think that the value of having a single source of truth and being able to access and report on that data across your project in an integrated way is valuable? Is that what the future is of construction?
I would say definitely. Procore more and more is becoming that platform solution. So whether you're working strictly in Procore, or maybe you're working with something else, say you're in like the quality department or the health and safety department, you may be working in a totally different platform. But as long as it can either integrate into Procore or integrate into your business intelligence suite through Procore Analytics, all of these things that used to be siloed and looked at individually, they're now coming together in one consolidated view. So you're really getting that holistic, organic view of your entire project and your company, which is just, it's never been done before. So it's actually exciting to see where it's going to go. And there's going to be a lot of value for key stakeholders and the business owners to make sure that everything is chugging along as it's supposed to be and all the gears have everything that they need to keep the project moving smoothly.
Yeah. For those clients that do already have a comprehensive reporting solution, with the aim of hopefully driving those efficiencies across the business, like where do you think this is really helping? Does it help projects be on budget, on time? Does it help them win more bids? Does it bring any advantages to the owner? Like, I'd love for you to kind of break that down for me.
Yeah, so earlier I was mentioning that one of the key benefits of analytics is the ability to better plan your resources across your entire organization. With the insights into your staff workloads, your delivery timelines, procurement, and like even your budget constraints, you now have a much clearer, broader picture of what's going to happen. Managing risk at the end of the day is sort of the main thing that everybody does as construction managers and project managers. So the more you know about the risk up front, the more you can plan for it to try and mitigate it down the road. Having that crystal ball, the analytics in your tool belt, that's really what's going to make you be able to make better decisions quickly. And I think that that's the key thing. The faster you can make a decision, the more time you're saving, and the more time you're saving can then be turned back into actual reward for the client. The client's going to have more trust in you. They're going to see the confidence that you bring to the table for that project now, because you're nimble, you're fast, you know everything that needs to be known about this project, and you can react quickly to any unknowns that then may pop up. So ultimately, better projects tends to lead to more business.
Right. Yeah, no, I love where you went with that. Have you seen, like, with your clients or with other companies that you're familiar with that are leveraging reporting analytics solutions? reduce risk, and make operations safer? Like, what did that look like in practice?
Definitely. I mean, safety is paramount on all these projects. Without safety, you're not going to deliver a good project. One of the things that analytics seems to do is it pulls that safety outside of that vacuum that it used to just be up to the safety department, or it might have been just up to the superintendent on the site. And as much as safety gets discussed as a corporate culture, it's hard to actually grasp what that actually means. So to pull it in with analytics, now you're going to gain actionable insights into your business. You're going to be able to see leading trends. You're going to be able to see some lagging trends. You're going to see a bunch of different things that you may never have noticed before. You might notice now, say, PPE, for an instance, is in a certain region of your business, a problem that needs to be addressed. These are the types of things that you'll pull out with analytics. And I think that it just really helps organize your projects, especially because once the workers actually come to your site, if they see that they're cared for and that it's a very safe working environment, the quality tends to go up because they know that they are respected as a worker on that site as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really comes for full circle. You mentioned real-time data insights. How do you think being able to see that data real time helps clients be more agile and actually adjust their business processes on the fly?
This is something that used to always come up for me when I was a project manager. And it's something that now as a consultant, I'm having quite a bit of fun actually helping my clients with. Monthly reporting was always historical. By the time the report was compiled, that data was old. And then maybe a week or two passes before that actually gets reviewed at the executive committee level. So now you're looking at something that could be 6 to 8 weeks old to address where your business is and to try and then plan where your business is going to go. With analytics, because it's all now real-time data, you're reporting on it up to the minute. You don't have to actually have a static PDF report anymore or a Word document. You can have a dashboard up on the screen and be looking at that and addressing it live. You can have your project teams all around the table looking at the same data and information and making sure that everything's on track. So planning deliverables across the business becomes a little bit more clear. Your labor force becomes a little more clear, as well as your staff resources like your field staff and your project management staff. And it kind of helps you with push-pull planning in terms of figuring out what you might need from one side of the business over onto another side of the business. So really, you're just getting a more holistic, up-to-date view of what's going on with your projects and your business, which just allows you to be more nimble in your reactions and decisions as well.
Right. What would you say for those clients who maybe still aren't quite there yet, right? They're using pen and paper still, largely spreadsheets. Do you think that they're risking their competitive advantage in the coming years? Do you think now is the right time to start looking at different technologies and vendors? Like, what would your advice be to, say, the smaller companies that are wondering, where do I start with all this?
Yeah, great question. And to be fair, like, it applies to everything: small businesses, new businesses, family businesses, old businesses. Really, any business in construction can benefit from this. It's not something that we're not big enough to need that, or it's not something that we already have policies and procedures that cover this. You kind of have to look at it differently. One of the main things that I find when I'm first engaging with my clients is everything is a discussion around cost. We're all in construction. Cost is always the bottom line. We always want to know, what am I actually going to pay? That's fine, but you also need to look at it more holistically than that and kind of think about what your return on investment is. So let's use like a quick example of a small company that has 2 project coordinators and 2 project managers. So, or maybe 1 project manager. Let's say that the project coordinators spend most of their time working in the systems and doing their reporting for that project manager, so the project manager can keep the projects on track. Well, if the project manager is really good at keeping the jobs on track and the coordinators are spending, call it 50% of their time doing reporting, if you bring in analytics, you're not getting rid of one of those project coordinators and making them redundant. You're actually freeing up more time for them to not only do their job better, but also for you as a business to grow, because now you have capacity and bandwidth to bring on more projects. So I think that that's really what people need to look at, and that sticking with legacy systems or pen and paper methods, just because you're comfortable with it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the best solution for you. And I think that there's always opportunities to really expand, grow, and learn from analytics when you're leveraging it in your in your business.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. Jason, thank you so much for the time today and sharing all your valuable insights. I know I definitely got a lot of value out of this conversation, so thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Dylan. Take care.
You too.